This one is inspired by Ron, and it addresses an issue or a potentiality that's quite exciting in some sense of humans. Although I've never really been fully satisfied of most of the descriptors that I've heard on this topic, I can see roughly what it's pointing to, I think. Roughly, though. And I'm going to challenge myself in trying to, elaborate on how I'm seeing this. There was some work done by Suzanne Cook-Greuter, and it's pretty cutting-edge psychological work, arguably. And she's riffing off work like Piaget, with developmental psychology. And her ninth level, or the highest level in her system of developmental psychology, is the idea of unity consciousness. Now, this can sound very mystical, it can sound very out there, but I think that if it is a reality, it has to be explainable in large measure in and through empirical data. Mostly, right? You can never reduce it to the empirical data because, well, in my view, you can't, because in a sense, interior experience is a different category, although correlative to physiological data, the actual neocortex and or the Turin brain and whatnot. So, an example she uses to make it clear is maybe you've seen like a paper with a heart cut out. So you have a piece of paper and there's a heart cut out from it. Now, in one sense, that heart is not part of the picture, but it does draw contours to the picture. And so you can actually see the heart, even though the heart isn't present in it, because it's been cut from the paper. So you have a single thing, the paper, but when the heart's removed from it in the picture, the paper, then now you have a picture from the removal of something. So you have a unified whole, which is just the paper, and just by removing part of that unified whole, you get an image. In experience, in the general day-to-day experience, we may demonize things, and I'm certainly not above this, right? I've had a lot of challenges the last number of years dealing with government institutions, just in my own mental world more than anything. And what we can do as a people in a positive fashion to deal with this, right? But just in general, the kind of activities that our leadership has shown across the world has often been gut-wrenching, at least of late, to me. But when I take into consideration sort of the life conditions that maybe some of these individuals found themselves in, economically, as well as psychologically. For example, I've often heard that the Rothschilds family has both mental abuse and physical abuse to their children, but could be just rumor. But just for the sake of thought experiment purposes, if it were the case that you were beaten as a child or even just mentally abused as a child, there's going to be a consequence in how you act. And it takes a lot of personal strength to overcome these sorts of dilemmas. And some might even argue that you can't, but I'm of the system of thought that interiors do have a potency alongside the physiological and sociological effects. So that's sort of beside the point, though. But you can see how these outside people doing these negative things, and they are negative. You can't I'm going to put a judgment out there that these things are negative, but simultaneously I have to see myself that if I was in those life conditions, that I might have done those same things. I might have done those same atrocities. And so this is the sort of unification, right, where you can see yourself through the eyes of the other, despite the fact that the other is doing atrocious things. And so you're sort of seeing yourself as that cutout shape. You know, you just have the paper, your mind, but you can use your mind to cut out shapes so that it is like the experience of the other. The old walk in the shoes of the other to understand the other sort of thing. But it is interesting that arguably, if Cook-Greuter's studies are accurate, then this sort of thinking is really just coming online now. And the consequences could be quite profound, because when you push it, or if it can be pushed, but if you push this idea far, then it's to say that in essence, and I think I can explain this again empirically to some degree, in essence, you are not other than others. That, you know, the mind systems that we are interacting and interfacing with, these memes, are communion things. They're common to the people engaging in them, and so they have a ripple effect on others. Simultaneously, biologically, we have sort of the genetic inheritance that deeply interconnects ourselves with the others. And so I don't know if it's possible to be completely unified or have a completely unified mind space, but this is a very active understanding that we are engaging in a sort of union mind state. It actually pushes you towards that, I think, because it's creating in the world these sorts of mental memes. The meme of this notion is actually spread by the very understanding of it.